All righty, welcome back into another episode of Getting Technical, brought to you by Bettor and Green. I am Ethan. With me, as always, is Wyatt. Wyatt, we were just on not too long ago, Saturday morning. We did a live, broke down a ton of the college basketball slate. As you mentioned on that live, I think there's over 100 basketball games. We didn't do that well. Not our best outing. But how'd you end up on Saturday? How'd you end up this weekend? Super Bowl was yesterday. How you doing, I guess, today? And how'd you end up betting wise this weekend?
Yeah, Saturday was a battle. I ended up not too bad because of my NBA plays, but my college basketball was not doing well. And then just bet the one college basketball on Sunday. I believe you had Villanova. I took Villanova's team total, both hit. Villanova on the spread was never a question. So I know you saw that one pretty clearly. I sometimes see something clearly and decide to bet something else, which I did, but thankfully it worked out. So a nice little profit before the Super Bowl where I ended up losing pretty much everything from there. But yeah, I mean, yeah, college basketball is frustrating right now, but it's just that's the grind of college basketball. And now that football is 100% done, I'm sad, but I'm excited to get into college basketball. And we have talk about Saturday's slate. This one is almost as big as you can get for a weekday, and that's Tuesday today. Huge slate. Only one ranked matchup, but we have multiple big games. Michigan's going to lose, so again, just bet against them. But yeah, I'm very excited. Don't feel great about these plays, but again, it's early. We are recording on Monday night. I'm sure I'll feel better come tomorrow when I post my official plays. But yeah, excited to talk these games and hopefully break them down a little bit easier for you guys.
Yeah, I was one thing I'll say about Saturday, I was pretty upset. I mean, I had a horrible betting day. I really had a horrible betting weekend. But the one thing I will say, Michigan State was my the only game where I had some luck late in the game. So thankfully it was my team that ended up pulling that one out. Absolutely must win for them against Illinois. So that was huge. They have a couple should be winning games on the road against Penn State and then Michigan, which I told you I'm a little bit nervous about, but they should be able to take care of business and hopefully all but lock in a tournament spot. But anyway, not talking about the Big Ten here. The three games we're talking about today, we have 10th ranked Iowa State at unranked Cincinnati. We're then heading to a ranked matchup, our one ranked matchup of the night, 25th ranked Oklahoma at 17th Baylor. And then we're going to look at an unranked Mountain West matchup between two teams that have been bouncing in and out of the rankings. We've both kind of been enjoying betting the Mountain West. We're looking at Colorado State at San Diego State. So we will start this one with that first matchup, Iowa State at Cincinnati. I'm seeing Cincinnati basically a pick 'em, maybe a 1-point favorite there, over under 136.5. What are you liking in this game?
Yeah, Iowa State is a very solid team. I'm not sure. I keep trying to fade them, and they just keep performing. But they're just a different team on the road. And we talked right before the show. Home court advantage is unreal in college basketball. I was just looking at the Mountain West. We're going to get into it, but pretty much all the top 5 or 6 teams in the Mountain West are undefeated or one loss at home, and that's pretty much true for the Big 12, Big 10, SEC. Like the home court advantage is nuts. So it's crazy. So it goes with our system. I couldn't be a system better if I go against our system and the definition of its meaning. So I got to take Cincinnati in this game on the pick 'em. Probably just take them on the money line. But my favorite play as of right now is the under in this game. Iowa State, very solid defensive team. They always are. Cincinnati at home is just a different animal. Like I said, home court advantage puts something into these guys that I don't know what it is, but they play differently at home. And most of Cincinnati's games, from what I've seen, have been extremely low scoring at home, tight, close games. So I think Cincinnati's going to pull it out, but I don't know if this game's going to get much over 130. I could see this game ending with both teams in the 60s. The total right now is sitting at 137.5. I think this would probably get down to like 133, 134 come game time. So I might lock in the under as soon as we get off here. That's probably my favorite play, but for the graphic, I'm going to take Cincinnati at the pick-em money line, however you want to call it.
Yeah, I'm already seeing 136.5 pop up. So I think if you like that under, bet it sooner rather than later, like Wyatt said. And I'm right there too. I like Cincinnati. like you mentioned, Iowa State, they've been a tough team for our system. They played on the road at TCU, who we thought should that fit the system. Ended up winning that game. On the road against Texas, won that game. Um, so a couple times they've had to go on the road and ended up winning outright. Didn't fare too well for us, but yeah, I like this spot. I mean, I think Iowa State has kind of solidified themselves in a really nice position right now. They're going to make the tournament. They're going to be a high seed. Um, I just don't know if they're taking Cincinnati too seriously. Maybe they have Texas Tech on deck, who just fell out of the top 25. Then Houston after that, two bigger games on deck for them. Meanwhile, Cincinnati is off the loss to Houston. They are 15-8, 11th in the Big 12, so they have a good record, but just haven't been great in the conference. And they've lost a lot of ranked matchups. They've lost to Texas, Baylor, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Houston now, all as ranked teams. So I think they're really kind of itching to get another ranked win under their belt and solidify themselves more for that tournament. They do have ranked wins over Texas Tech and TCU and BYU. So they have a couple, but another one against a top 10 foe at home. Just think it's a great spot for them to take advantage at that pick 'em price. I like Cincinnati to get the home win.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a system and it's working, but yeah, it's weird. Got to take Cincinnati. That's got to be the play.
It's ugly. It's watching college basketball with money on the games has gotten extremely difficult. It's just so up and down, runs. Oh my god. Next game we'll talk about here, the one ranked matchup, another Big 12 matchup. If you're new to the show, hope you like the Big 12 because we talk about it a lot with how good these matchups are. We have 25th ranked Oklahoma at 12th ranked Baylor. Baylor 6.5 point home favorite. Over under right around 143.5. This one's tough. Don't know if I'm going to bet it. My initial lean right now is Baylor minus the 6.5. It's kind of that weird line that it's almost too high, it seems. But I think it's, when it seems too good to be true to back Oklahoma, it usually is. Oklahoma here just slid their way back into the top 25. I don't really know if it was warranted. They had a home win against BYU, who I know they've been ranked. I know they have a great offense and defense. They're high up in KenPom. I don't know. I just don't know if I'm fully bought into BYU. And then they beat Oklahoma State, who's just a disaster of a team this year. Both games were at home. I just don't know if Oklahoma deserves to be back in the top 25 so quickly after they lost 3 of their previous 4 games before that. Now they have to play Baylor with Kansas on deck, 2 ginormous Big 12 matchups for them. Speaking of Baylor and Kansas, Baylor is off that loss to Kansas. So this is kind of a get-right spot for them. They were off 2 ranked wins before Kansas. Now they have a chance, since Oklahoma did slide back into the top 25, to get another ranked win. I think Baylor's the better team at home, off the big loss. Don't think Oklahoma really deserves the top 25. But since they're in it, I don't think Baylor's going to overlook them. Yeah, I just think the line is weird. I'm going to lay it with Baylor in this one.
Yeah, tough game. I'll probably be betting it. Unfortunately, I'm just on the other side. But I agree that I think the spread's a little too high. So I do like the thought process there, but I'm kind of just going on more of the fact that it's a kind of a get right spot for Baylor, and it seems pretty obvious in my mind, at least, to take Baylor after a tough loss. It was at Kansas, so there's no shame there. But I just think this is an easy spot for Baylor. They have West Virginia on the road, it's tough, but it's also a winnable game. I don't know. I think this could be I don't know if Baylor can't take any game lightly, but I don't know. I'm going to take a shot at Oklahoma. I'm going to take them at the plus 6.5 here. I think it's just a little too many points, so I'm worried about the public side, but I think they hang in there. Likewise, my favorite play is actually on the total of this game. Love the over. I'm seeing 143. I think the last I saw on DraftKings was 143 as of Monday night. I think this game is probably going to get to close to 145, 145 and a half. There's going to be a lot of offense. Obviously, Baylor's the number 1 3-point shooting team in the country. I think Oklahoma's going to play competitively. I obviously took them to cover the spread, so I think they're going to hang in there. I think this could be a high-scoring game. So I like the over, probably favorite play. Again, for the sake of the graphic, going to take Oklahoma on the spread.
Yeah, one more thing I'm going to say about Oklahoma here. I'm not going to say I called their collapse, but I did say I wasn't a big believer before they lost 3 of 4. I'm just going to go on record and say this. With who Oklahoma has left on the schedule, I'm not going to be shocked if they end up being a bubble team by Selection Sunday. They might miss the tournament as is. They currently sit at 18-6, obviously 25th, like we talked about, 6th in the Big 12. Their schedule at Baylor, if they lose that one, they then have to go back home, but they play Kansas, another tough game. Back on the road against Oklahoma State, who they just beat, but that's a rivalry game on the road, never easy. At Iowa State, extremely tough place to play. Back home against Houston, and then they have a home game against Cincinnati and on the road at Texas. So just an extremely tough stretch for Oklahoma here. Yeah, I'm just gonna say I wouldn't be shocked if they're a bubble team come Selection Sunday with that.
Going through some of these Big 12 teams' schedules and like what they have remaining is terrifying. I don't remember what team. It might have been Oklahoma or could have been Iowa State. I don't know. I was looking at one of these teams next couple games, and it's just like top 10, top 10, top 10, top 12, top 15, top 10, top. Everyone in the Big 12 is in the top 25, it seems like. So they have a gauntlet of schedule, and I could very well see, some of these teams that I know we're kind of coming down to the end of the season. We've got about a month, a little less than a month till tournament starts, or conference tournament starts. But yeah, I could see some of these teams going on 5-6 game losing streaks and being on the bubble or on the verge of getting kicked. So yeah, Big 12, it's the same thing every year, just an absolute gauntlet.
Yep. And even the bad teams, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, if you go on the road, they can beat you anytime. So it's crazy. Let's finish out here with our Mountain West game. Both teams unranked, but as mentioned, these teams have kind of floated around. They flirted with the rankings all season long. Colorado State is 19-5, San Diego State 18-6. So two very good programs. Mountain West has been fun this year. I am seeing San Diego State right around a 5.5 home favorite, over under 139.5. I'm going to throw this one to you first and see how you're breaking this one down.
Yeah. So again, Mountain West, they're always good. I always bet against them in the tourney. San Diego State obviously made that. Was it the national championship run? Did they lose in the net?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, lost the national championship game. I hammered UConn on that one, like 10 units. But I mean, there are a bunch of competitive teams. There's a bunch of ranked teams. These two teams are pretty much identical in my book. Colorado State did win the first matchup at Colorado State, 71-79. They won by 8. Colorado State is on a 4-game win streak. They do have Utah State on deck, but they host them. San Diego State just off a loss at Nevada. Again, Nevada, very similar to these two teams. I think Nevada's 18-5. They do travel to New Mexico, who again I think is 18-5. All these Mountain West teams seem like they are 18 plus wins. So both teams kind of in a great spot to put all their focus into this game because their next game is not going to get any easier. I'm going to go against the hot hand. Colorado State's the hot team. I'm going to take the home team here. I think this line ultimately keeps moving up in favor of San Diego State. Wouldn't be surprised if this gets to 6.5, 7 come tip off. So I'm going to take San Diego State. I saw -5, so that's what I got on my graphic here. I think they get revenge at home. They are 11-0 at home. If again, all these teams are, it seems like. But I think they'll get it done. I think they have a little bit of revenge in their eyes, and I think home court's going to play the difference here.
Yep, I love San Diego State. This is probably my favorite play we're talking about. I love a -5. Like you said, revenge. It's kind of the instant revenge. They just played 2 weeks ago, exactly to the date. So that was also the game that got Colorado State started on this run. I think it's going to also be the game that ends their run. Like San Diego State quite a bit. Utah State on deck, as you mentioned, who has already beat Colorado State. So could potentially be overlooking San Diego State just a touch since they did just beat them. Could be looking ahead just a bit at their own revenge game against Utah State. And then, like you said, San Diego State off that overtime loss, fell out of the rankings due to that loss. Have New Mexico on deck, who is a team that they did previously lose to, but as we mentioned, already lost to Colorado State 2 weeks ago. Think they're focused on the revenge at home. Probably pissed that they fell out of the rankings, but also not quite as headhunted as they would be if they were still a ranked team. Everything lines up for me on San Diego State here. ultimately they're the better team, like you said, off a national championship appearance. Colorado State's been a decent team the last few years, but I think San Diego State ultimately better at home, revenge, you name it, it's all there for them. So I love San Diego State.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to get this out Tuesday morning pretty early. So by the time you see this, I would highly suggest if you want to take San Diego State, take them when you see this, because I think this line's going to keep going up.
Yep, I agree. Guys, other than that, that's going to wrap it for today's episode. Like we mentioned, there are a ton of great games on besides the 3 that we talked about. Big Ten has some decent ones, SEC, ACC with North Carolina back in action. All sorts of great games going on. So be sure to check out the rest of the games on the board. Follow us on Twitter where we'll tweet out all of our plays. Check us out, bettergreen.com, where Wyatt, I know you had an article yesterday that came out with some college basketball plays. You've had a few last week with college basketball. So a lot of plays coming out in article format over there, as well as other articles. Head over to Sharps, the Sharps app. Download it using our code BET269, bet with 2 T's, BETT269. It's a great app for bettors to really just communicate with each other and follow each other's plays. So we've really been enjoying it over there. Head over there and check that out. Football season's come to an end, so now it kind of leaves us with Getting Technical, Tapping Vegas, and 5-Minute Wager, the hockey show. So be on the lookout for those episodes. And then Wyatt, you and I will be getting into the NBA here in a little bit. We're going to start having some weekly NBA content coming out, so stay tuned for that. And guys, until next episode, have fun. Good luck with your bets, and we'll see you next time.
You better start listening to the Better and Green podcast. You will not regret it. Trust me, trust me, trust me. And hey, I'm Dean Blandino.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Better and Green, eh? To Better and Green, eh? To Better and Green, eh? Listen in and cash out. That's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover all spot from the bottom to the top. Hey, shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome, welcome to our podcast, Better and Green.